I know your organization is kind of pushing the canonization of Fulton Sheen. Why do you think there's been some kind of tension there? Like some people say, "Oh, Fulton Sheen wasn't a saint." Um, yeah, any thoughts on
Right.
that entire debate?
Yeah. No, and I get this. I get this question. I've had this question for the last 10 years because I'm been blessed to sit on the board of directors for the Sheen Foundation in Peoria, Illinois. I work for the cause, so I'm in the inner circle. You know, I'm one of the guys that is connected, and so I kind of know the real story. There's many people that, of course, have these opinion pieces, and they kind of think, well, we think this is going on at the Vatican, and oh, we really think, well, this is what's really going on in New York. And so all of these commentaries that we read in the paper and find on social media, I can always just tell people the truth. Here's what's really happening. That again, in 2002, the cause was opened, and the Bishop of Peoria went to the Vatican to open up the cause. Sheen's, I want to say, our petition to make him a saint. New York didn't want to do it. Rochester didn't want to do it. But the Diocese of Peoria embraced this project of trying to have Sheen, raised to the glories of being a saint. And so, because he is from Peoria, again, people have to understand that he was ordained a priest, again, in Peoria, and then he was on loan to the Catholic University of America for those years. And so he was always attached to Peoria. He'd always come home to visit family and, give thanksgiving for his vocation. So although some people say, oh, New York owns him, he's a New York priest. Well, yeah, he became famous in New York, but he's really a Peoria boy and loves the Midwest. So again, there's always going to be the war over, who owns him. Of course, there was a great war over his physical remains. The lawsuits that were being put forward again to keep his body in New York or bring it back to Peoria, and cool heads prevailed, and I think holy wisdom won the day, and of course Fulton Sheen's remains came back to Peoria at the request of his family. Again, the family has a lot to say, and so his remains are in Peoria, a beautiful crypt that is there. People come by the tens of thousands to visit the tomb of Fulton Sheen every year. It's a lot easier to get to Fulton Sheen's tomb in Peoria than it is in New York City. I mean, parking, it's difficult. It's difficult. So it's quite inviting. But, the cause proceeded so beautifully in 2012. Again, Pope Emeritus, Pope Benedict the 16th, God rest his soul, declared Sheen venerable. And of course, the Holy Father in 2019 approved the miracle of the little boy that was brought back to life. And so the church has kind of said, he's a saint. Let's declare him blessed. And of course, set the date for the Beatification Mass, which was sadly postponed. We live in the climate of a church which I think everybody wants to be 100% sure that there's no improprieties. And yet we knew that all the investigative work that we did during the, the scrutinies of a saint over the years, we knew Fulton Sheen had handled all the cases in Rochester very well, also in New York. So we knew there was no bad news that would ever come out of any investigation. But we live in a climate where we want to be sure. We want to be sure. And so the postponement was granted. And yet the Vatican has been dealing with us saying, we want to give you a new date. We're just asking you to, of course, get the reports from the Solicitor Generals and all these other legal beagles that are, out there in the, the state of New York. There was a statute of limitations set. And so the courts move slow. They really do. And it's sad that the courts have something to say with something that's of the church. The church has ruled on Fulton Sheen, approved the miracle, declared his writings to be free of error. The church is waiting to just say, we want to have this beatification mass. yet we've kind of handed things over to the legal system, the courts of America, to kind of say yay or nay, which is a bit of a travesty. It really is. And so I always say to people, we will see a new date. Um, Again, Rome is very positive towards our position, and I think we were spoiled. I think we were spoiled with Mother Teresa. I think we were spoiled with John Paul II. These saints were, I don't want to say fast tracked, but let's just say they crossed the finish line very quickly. They really did. And I think when people say, who are the most popular Catholics that you know of, they all say the same thing: John Paul II, Mother Teresa, Fulton Sheen. So I think we were expecting Fulton Sheen to be across the finish line really quick. But again, I think sometimes it's helped the cause. I think there's more interest in Fulton Sheen even today, with this so-called cloud hanging over the cause, than there is if he was just beatified back in 2019. Sometimes we forget our saints that are beatified. We move on. But I think this is keeping Fulton Sheen's writings in the media. All the prophecies he made in the 40s on radio, they're all coming true. So again, people are interested in Fulton Sheen.